In the middle of a heated confrontation that left the entire Love and Hip Hop Atlanta cast frozen in shock, Rasheeda Frost's voice cracked with years of pent-up pain as she finally looked KIRK Frost dead in the eyes and delivered the words no one thought they'd ever hear. "I'm done defending you, KIRK. This time, I'm standing up for myself." The room fell deathly silent. After more than a decade of scandals, cheating allegations, secret side babies, shady business deals, and public humiliations that would have destroyed most marriages, the fiercely loyal Rasheeda, the woman who'd gone to war with friends, family, and even the fans to protect her husband, had finally reached her breaking point. It all exploded during what was supposed to be a routine cast dinner in Atlanta. KIRK strolled in with that signature smirk, trying to downplay yet another bombshell about his latest indiscretion, but this time Rasheeda wasn't having it. "You've embarrassed me for the last time," she screamed, slamming her hands on the table as hot tears streamed down her face. "Every time I stood in front of those cameras and told the world you were changing, you made me look like a damn fool." Mimi Faust and Erica Mena sat there wide-eyed, phones already out recording what they knew would break the internet. KIRK's face twisted from defensive to desperate in seconds. "Baby, not here," he pleaded, reaching for her hand, but Rasheeda snatched it away like it burned. This wasn't just another argument. This was the moment years in the making, the culmination of broken promises, secret texts, hidden hotel receipts, and a marriage pushed to the absolute brink. Insiders are whispering that something devastating happened just hours before cameras rolled, something so raw it made Rasheeda question every sacrifice she'd ever made for KIRK and their empire. Fans watching the early previews are already losing their minds online, flooding social media with, "Finally," and "Rasheeda deserves better." But what exactly pushed her over the edge this time? And will this explosive showdown be the end of Rasheeda and KIRK for good? The drama is just getting started. As the cameras rolled, capturing every raw and unfiltered second of what would become one of the most explosive moments in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta history, Rasheeda stood there with tears streaming down her face, but her voice was strong and filled with years of built-up pain. She looked KIRK straight in his eyes and said, "I am done defending you, KIRK. This time I am standing up for myself and my peace." The entire cast froze in their seats. You could feel the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Mimi Faust sat there with her mouth wide open while Erica Mena quickly grabbed her phone to record every single word, knowing this clip was going to break the internet. KIRK tried to stay calm at first, reaching his hand out saying, "Baby, calm down, let's talk about this privately," but Rasheeda snatched away from his touch like it burned her skin. "No more private talks, KIRK. Every time I give you another chance you embarrass me publicly and make me look like a fool in front of the world," she screamed, her voice cracking with emotion. The argument quickly escalated as Rasheeda began unloading all the years of hurt, starting from the early cheating rumors back in season 3 when she stood by his side. Despite everyone telling her to leave him, she defended him through the secret baby scandal, the multiple women coming forward with receipts, and even the humiliating moment when his side chick showed up at their family event. Now here they were in season 13 and nothing had really changed. Fans watching the preview clips online are already going absolutely crazy, flooding Twitter and Instagram with comments saying, "Finally Rasheeda is waking up and it's about damn time. After everything she's sacrificed for this marriage." The stakes were incredibly high, not just for their relationship but for their entire empire, the clothing line they built together, the real estate investments, and their public image as one of the longest lasting couples in reality television were all on the line. Rasheeda continued pouring her heart out, telling KIRK that she had given up so many opportunities for him. She turned down major business deals to keep their family together. She defended him in interviews even when her own friends questioned her judgment. And what did she get in return? More lies, more late nights, and more excuses that no longer added up. As the fight grew more intense, KIRK began getting defensive, saying, "You always do this, Rasheeda, making me look like the bad guy when we both have made mistakes." But that only fueled Rasheeda even more. She fired back, "Mistakes are one thing, but repeated betrayal and disrespect is something completely different. I have stood by you through thick and thin while you were out here living your best life without caring about how it affected me or our children." The mention of their kids hit KIRK hard because he knew how much Rasheeda had fought to shield them from the drama. Cameras panned across the faces of the other cast members, showing pure shock and some even nodding in agreement as if they had been waiting for this day to come. Sapphire and the rest of the girls were visibly emotional watching their friend finally find her voice after so long of playing the ride or die wife. Back at the dinner table, the accusations kept flying. Rasheeda revealed shocking new details about a recent discovery she made just days before filming, something about hidden messages and money transfers that proved KIRK had been involved with yet another woman behind her back. This new information was the final straw that broke the camel's back and pushed her to this breaking point. Emotions ran extremely high as Rasheeda's voice rose higher, telling KIRK, "You have taken me for granted for far too long. I deserve better than this constant cycle of apology and repeat betrayal." The room was divided. Some cast members like Carly Red tried to mediate, saying, "Y'all need to calm down and talk this out like adults," but others like Jocelyn knew exactly what Rasheeda was going through, having their own share of toxic relationships relationships, they encouraged her to keep speaking her truth. Kirk's face turned from defensive to desperate as he realized this time his usual charm and smooth talking wasn't going to fix things. He pleaded with her, saying, "Baby, I love you, we can work this out, we always do." But Rasheeda shook her head firmly. "Not this time, Kirk, I am tired of working it out while you keep doing the same things over and over." The pain in her eyes was real and raw, showing the audience at home just how much this marriage had taken from her mentally and emotionally. As the confrontation continued, Rasheeda began questioning everything about their relationship, the sacrifices, the public humiliations, and whether staying together was really worth it anymore for the sake of their brand or their family. She told him straight up that she was considering walking away for good and focusing on herself and her own happiness. This statement sent shockwaves through the cast and would later send shockwaves through the entire fanbase. When the episode aired, insiders close to the couple are saying that this blow-up had been building for months behind the scenes, with multiple private fights that never made it to camera, but this time the producers made sure to capture it all because they knew it would be television gold. The drama was far from over though, because as Rasheeda stood her ground, more revelations started coming out about Kirk's latest activities, including alleged business deals that he made without her knowledge using their joint money. This added another layer of betrayal, mixing financial issues with the emotional ones, making the situation even more complicated and messy. Friends of Rasheeda who were present later told producers that they had never seen her this fed up and determined to make a change. They described her as a woman who had finally reached her limit after carrying the weight of the relationship for so many years, while Kirk continued his same patterns. The night was still young, and this explosive argument was only the beginning of what would be an emotional rollercoaster for the entire cast and viewers at home. As Rasheeda wiped her tears and took a deep breath, preparing to say even more, the cameras kept rolling, waiting for the next bombshell to drop, and everyone knew that after this nothing in their relationship would ever be the same again. Fans are already picking sides online, with the majority supporting Rasheeda and calling for her to finally put herself first after all these years of loyalty and pain. Little did they know that even bigger twists were coming in the next few scenes that would leave everyone questioning everything they thought they knew about this famous couple. The confrontation stretched on for what felt like hours, with Kirk trying every tactic he could to calm the situation, but Rasheeda was no longer the same woman who would quietly accept his apologies and move on. She was standing tall, demanding respect and accountability, something she had waited far too long to do. This moment marked a potential turning point, not just for their marriage but for Rasheeda as an individual, ready to reclaim her power and her voice in the world of reality television, where so many women get lost in toxic dynamics. The energy in the room shifted dramatically as more cast members began to voice their opinions, some backing Rasheeda completely while a few tried to defend Kirk, saying marriage is hard and nobody is perfect. But the damage had already been done, and Rasheeda's words had hit their target straight to the heart of the matter. As the episode continued to unfold, the drama only intensified, setting the stage for what many are calling the most anticipated season yet in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta history. But what happened next would change everything for the Frosts and send shockwaves through the entire Love and Hip Hop universe, as Rasheeda took a deep breath and dropped the biggest bomb of the night, revealing that she had found out about Kirk's latest affair not just from rumors but from actual proof in the form of a secret phone she discovered in his car just hours before the dinner. Cameras captured her voice shaking with fury when she pulled out the device right there on the table and demanded he explain the hundreds of messages to a woman named Tiana who had been calling herself the new Mrs. Frost. Behind her back, the cast gasped in unison. Mimi Faust nearly dropped her drink while Erica Mena zoomed in closer, whispering, "Oh my god, this is next level." Even for us, Kirk went pale trying to grab the phone, but Rasheeda held it high, saying, "You don't get to hide anymore, Kirk. I have spent years making excuses for you, telling the world you were just misunderstood, but this time the proof is staring us all in the face and I refuse to be the fool any longer." The room erupted into chaos as Kirk started stuttering, "Baby, it's not what it looks like. She's just a business associate." But Rasheeda laughed bitterly through her tears. "Business associate who sends you heart emojis and talks about the future plans we never even discussed together. No more lies, no more gaslighting. I am done being your shield, your public relations manager, and your emotional punching bag." All at once, the emotional conflict hit Rasheeda hard, because deep down she still loved the man she built an empire with, but the personal stakes were too high now. With their children watching from home and the brand they created together hanging in the balance, she explained how this latest betrayal made her question every sacrifice she ever made, turning down solo music deals, staying silent during past scandals, and even defending him when his own family questioned his loyalty. Friends like Sapphire stepped in trying to comfort Rasheeda, saying, "Girl, you have carried this weight alone long enough, it's time to let it go," while others like Carly Red tried to play peacemaker, saying, "Y'all have been through worse, let's not blow it up on camera." But the damage was already done, and the reactions from the cast showed just how divided the group had become, some nodding in support of Rasheeda finally finding her voice after years of silence, while a few whispered that marriage is complicated and nobody is perfect. Behind the scenes, producers were thrilled because this raw, unscripted moment was pure television gold, the kind that keeps fans coming back season after season. As the argument raged on, Kirk switched tactics, trying to flip the script, accusing Rasheeda of being too focused on her own career lately and not paying enough attention to him, which only made her angrier. She fired back, "You have got to be kidding me, Kirk. I have put my dreams on hold for you time and time again while you were out chasing chasing every new thrill that came your way. The family drama deepened when Rasheeda brought up their kids, saying, "I will not let them grow up thinking this kind of disrespect is normal. I want them to see their mother standing strong for once." Emotions ran extremely high as tears flowed freely and voices cracked under the weight of years of unresolved pain. Suddenly a new twist unfolded when Jocelyn revealed she had heard from mutual friends that KIRK had actually moved some of their joint business money into an account under Tiana's name without telling Rasheeda. The betrayal now mixed financial ruin with emotional heartbreak, leaving the entire table stunned. KIRK tried to deny it at first, but the look on his face said it all. He knew he had been caught red-handed and there was no smooth talking his way out of this one. Rasheeda stood up from the table, pointing at him, saying, "You have destroyed everything we built together with your selfishness, and now I am taking back my power, my peace, and my future." The cast watched in awe as this once ride-or-die wife transformed before their eyes into a woman ready to fight for herself. The suspense built even more when KIRK finally broke down, admitting parts of the truth but still trying to minimize it. "Baby, I made mistakes, but we can fix this like we always do. Remember when we overcame the last scandal and came out stronger?" Rasheeda shook her head. "No, KIRK, this time there is no we, there is only me choosing me for the first time in years." The reactions poured in from across the room, with Erica Mena shouting, "Yes queen, get your respect," while Mimi Faust hugged Rasheeda, whispering, "I have been there, girl, and it gets better." The family was left divided as some cast members sided with KIRK, saying everyone deserves a second chance, but the majority rallied around Rasheeda, praising her for finally standing up after all the public humiliations she had endured. Fans would later flood social media with support, calling her a legend and saying it's about time she put herself first. But the drama was nowhere near over, because as the night continued, Rasheeda dropped yet another bombshell, revealing she had already consulted with lawyers about separating their assets and possibly filing for divorce. This news hit KIRK like a ton of bricks, his face crumpling as he realized this was not just an argument but a potential end to their empire together. The personal stakes skyrocketed with their shared businesses, the clothing line, the real estate, and even their joint appearances on the show now at risk. The heated exchanges kept coming, with KIRK pleading for one more chance, promising to go to counseling and cut off all contact with Tiana, but Rasheeda was hearing none of it. She told him straight up, "I have heard these promises before, KIRK, and they always end the same way, with me crying alone while you move on to the next woman." The unexpected twist came when a surprise guest arrived at the dinner, none other than RASHEEDA's sister, who had been waiting in the wings and immediately jumped in defending her sibling, saying, "KIRK, you have hurt my sister for the last time, and the family is tired of watching her suffer in silence." This added another layer of family drama as old wounds from previous seasons resurfaced, with accusations flying about how KIRK had alienated Rasheeda from her own support system. Over the years, the room became a battlefield of emotions, with everyone talking over each other, trying to be heard above the chaos. Producers had to step in multiple times to keep things from getting physical, but the raw authenticity of it all made for unforgettable television. As Rasheeda continued to unload, she spoke about the mental toll it had taken on her, the sleepless nights, the anxiety attacks, and the constant fear of another scandal breaking online. She said, "I have smiled through the pain for too long, pretending everything was fine for the cameras, but tonight I am done pretending. I want real love, not this toxic cycle that keeps breaking me down." The cast nodded in agreement, many of them having their own stories of betrayal and resilience, which made the moment even more powerful and relatable to viewers at home. The betrayal accusations kept piling up when someone mentioned a past incident where KIRK had been caught in a hotel with another woman during a business trip, and Rasheeda had once again defended him publicly. This time, however, she was rewriting the narrative, telling everyone, including the cameras, that she regretted every time she chose loyalty over self-respect. The drama reached a fever pitch when KIRK stood up and tried to leave the table, saying, "I can't do this right now," but Rasheeda blocked his path, saying, "You don't get to walk away from this conversation like you walk away from our problems. We are finishing this here and now." The tension was so thick, it felt like the air itself was charged with electricity as the confrontation stretched into what seemed like hours. More revelations emerged about KIRK's secret meetings and late-night calls that Rasheeda had been ignoring to keep the peace. "But no more," she declared. "I am standing up, not just for me but for every woman who has ever been made to feel small in her own relationship." The reactions from friends and fellow cast members poured in, with some offering hugs and words of encouragement, while others looked uncomfortable knowing their own relationships could be next under the microscope. The episode captured every second of this emotional rollercoaster, leaving audiences on the edge of their seats, wondering if this was truly the end or just another chapter in the never-ending saga of Rasheeda and KIRK. The stakes had never been higher, with their legacy, their finances, and their family future all hanging in the balance. As Rasheeda wiped her tears one last time and looked around the room, she said with a newfound strength, "I deserve better, and I am finally going to get it." The night was far from over, though, because just when everyone thought the drama had peaked, another twist dropped when KIRK received a mysterious phone call right there at the table that seemed to confirm even more secrets involving a possible pregnancy rumor with the other woman. This sent Rasheeda into a fresh wave of heartbreak and anger as she screamed, "Is there no end to your lies, KIRK?" The cast scrambled to contain the fallout, with Mimi Faust pulling Rasheeda aside for a private moment while Erica Mena kept filming every raw second, knowing this would be the clip that breaks the internet worldwide. The family drama intensified as Rasheeda's sister confronted KIRK, directly accusing him of destroying her sister's confidence confidence over the years and demanding he take accountability for once the arguments bounced back and forth between financial betrayals, emotional neglect, and public image concerns, making the entire scene feel like a pressure cooker ready to explode at any second. Yet through it all, RASHEEDA remained resolute, refusing to back down or accept another empty apology. This moment of empowerment resonated deeply with the cast and would later inspire countless fans to share their own stories of standing up in toxic situations. The suspense kept building as the producers hinted at more surprises coming in the next scenes, but for now the focus remained on this dinner from hell that had exposed the cracks in one of reality television's most enduring couples. The energy shifted dramatically when KIRK finally sat back down, looking defeated and for the first time in years seeming to truly listen to RASHEEDA's pain. He whispered, "I never wanted to lose you like this," but her response was firm and final. "Then you should have fought harder to keep me." The conversations continued late into the night with heated debates about trust, loyalty, and what it really means to stand by your partner through everything. The cast became divided into factions, some pushing for reconciliation while others urged RASHEEDA to walk away and never look back. The personal conflicts ran deep, with RASHEEDA weighing the love she still felt against the repeated hurt that had eroded her spirit over time. As the cameras kept rolling, capturing every tear, every raised voice, and every moment of raw honesty, the world outside was already buzzing with leaked clips and fan theories about what this meant for the future of their marriage and their spot on the show. The drama had layers upon layers, with business deals now under scrutiny, past secrets resurfacing, and new accusations flying that no one saw coming. This was not just another fight, it was a full-blown reckoning that had been years in the making, and the entire Love and Hip Hop Atlanta family was feeling the aftershocks as RASHEEDA stood her ground more strongly than ever before. The night wore on with more emotional confessions and surprising alliances forming among the cast members who had once been at odds but now united in their shock over KIRK's behavior. The twists kept coming when a text message popped up on the secret phone right in front of everyone, confirming plans for a secret getaway that KIRK had scheduled without RASHEEDA's knowledge. This final piece of evidence broke her completely, yet also fueled her determination to finally break free. The reactions were electric, with the room erupting once again into a mix of support, gasps, and even a few cheers for RASHEEDA taking control of her narrative. The episode was shaping up to be legendary, setting records for most dramatic dinner scene in the franchise's history and leaving everyone from fans to insiders wondering if RASHEEDA and KIRK could ever recover from this public takedown. The stakes were personal, professional, and deeply emotional all at once, making this the must-watch moment of the season. As the confrontation finally began to wind down, RASHEEDA looked at KIRK one last time, saying, "This is not the end of my story, KIRK. It's the beginning of a new chapter without your shadows holding me back." The cast applauded softly, some with tears in their eyes, knowing they had witnessed something truly transformative. The drama, however, was only pausing, not ending, because the next scenes promised even more fallout from this explosive night, and the entire world was watching to see what would happen next in this rollercoaster ride of love, betrayal, and ultimate self-empowerment that defined season 13 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta like never before. The emotions, the accusations, and the raw power of RASHEEDA finally standing up had everyone hooked, and the story was far from finished, with more twists, family interventions, and potential reconciliations or final goodbyes still to come that would keep viewers glued to their screens for weeks to come. But the story was far from finished, because as the cast began to disperse from that chaotic dinner table, a new wave of drama exploded when RASHEEDA's phone lit up with an incoming call from an unknown number that turned out to be Tiana herself, the woman at the center of the latest scandal, calling to confirm what everyone feared most. She was indeed pregnant with KIRK's child and had the ultrasound pictures to prove it. The entire room went silent again as RASHEEDA put the call on speaker, and Tiana's voice echoed through the space, saying, "I didn't want it to come out like this, but KIRK promised me we had a future together, and now our baby deserves to know its father." The revelation hit RASHEEDA like a freight train, her knees buckling as she clutched the table for support, while KIRK looked like he had seen a ghost, frantically trying to end the call, but it was too late. The damage was done, and the cast erupted into a frenzy, with Mimi Faust yelling, "Are you serious right now? This is beyond low even for you, KIRK," and Erica Mena shaking her head in disbelief, saying, "RASHEEDA, you do not deserve this kind of betrayal after everything you have given him." The emotional conflict for RASHEEDA reached its absolute peak as she processed the news of another potential child from her husband while their own kids were at home, oblivious to the storm raging around their family. The personal stakes skyrocketed, because this wasn't just about cheating anymore, it was about expanding the family tree in the most painful and public way possible, tearing apart the foundation they had built over years of shared struggles and successes. Friends and fellow cast members rallied around her immediately, with Sapphire pulling her into a tight hug, whispering, "Girl, this is your sign to walk away for good. You have been the strongest woman on this show, but even superwomen have their limits." Meanwhile, Carly Red tried to keep the peace by suggesting they all take a breath, but no one was listening as accusations flew across the table about how KIRK had been funding secret prenatal appointments with their joint business money without RASHEEDA's knowledge. The financial betrayal layered on top of the emotional one, making the situation 10 times more explosive and complicated. KIRK attempted to defend himself, saying, "Baby, I swear I didn't know about the pregnancy until recently, and I was going to tell you, but that only made RASHEEDA Rasheeda laugh through her fresh wave of tears. Tell me when exactly, Kirk, after the baby was born or after you had already moved on to playing house with her? No, I am done listening to your excuses. I stood by you through the first secret baby drama and the second and the third, but this one breaks me completely. The room filled with gasps and whispers as more cast members shared their own similar experiences of heartbreak in the industry, reminding everyone that Rasheeda was not alone in her pain. Yet her story felt uniquely devastating because of how long she had defended Kirk publicly on camera and in interviews. The drama intensified when RASHEEDA's sister, who had already been vocal earlier, grabbed the phone and confronted Tiana directly, saying, "You knew he was married with a family. Why would you do this to another woman?" And the response from Tiana only added fuel to the fire by claiming Kirk had told her their marriage was over months ago. This new twist left Kirk scrambling for words. His usual smooth charm completely evaporated as he realized the web of lies was finally unraveling in front of the entire group and the cameras that were capturing every second for the world to see. Later that night, after the dinner wrapped, the fallout continued backstage, where producers pulled Rasheeda aside for a confessional that would become one of the most watched segments in the show's history. She sat there with mascara running down her cheeks, pouring her heart out about how this pregnancy news made her question every memory of their relationship, the late nights she thought were work, the mysterious expenses on their credit cards, and the way he had slowly distanced himself emotionally while she was busy building their empire alone. The confessional was raw and unfiltered, with Rasheeda saying, "I gave up so much for this man, my solo career opportunities, my friendships, and even pieces of my own identity, and for what? To be humiliated again and again on national television." The stakes for her were never higher, because not only was her marriage on the line, but her role as a mother, her business ventures, and her reputation as the ultimate ride or die queen of Atlanta were all being tested in the most public way imaginable. Fans who got early leaks of the episode online started trending hashtags like Team Rasheeda and Kirk Isover, with thousands posting stories of their own toxic relationships and praising her for finally drawing the line. The reactions from the broader Love and Hip Hop family poured in too, with past cast members from other cities texting words of support and even some of Kirk's old business associates distancing themselves publicly to avoid the growing scandal. Back at the Frost household, the family drama took a deeply personal turn when their children overheard snippets of the argument through social media and called Rasheeda in tears, asking if Daddy was leaving again, which broke her heart even further as she tried to shield them from the worst details while promising to make things right for their sake. The unexpected twist came the very next day during a follow-up cast brunch that was supposed to be a chance for cooling off, but instead turned into round two of the reckoning when Kirk showed up with flowers and a prepared speech about how he was going to change for good, only for Rasheeda to shut him down immediately, saying, "Save your breath, Kirk. I have heard every version of this apology and none of them stuck." The brunch scene brought new layers of conflict as other cast members like Jocelyn shared their perspectives on forgiveness versus self-respect, encouraging Rasheeda to prioritize her mental health over the brand they had built together. Emotions ran high again when Kirk broke down in front of everyone, admitting for the first time that his insecurities and the pressure of fame had led him down this path. But Rasheeda was not buying the sudden vulnerability. She fired back, "Insecurities do not excuse creating a whole other family behind my back. I have my own fears and doubts too, but I never used them as an excuse to destroy what we had." The group was left divided once more, with some feeling sympathy for Kirk and others fully in RASHEEDA's corner, praising her growth and strength. The suspense built even more when a surprise appearance from Kirk's mother added another dimension to the family drama as she tried to mediate by reminding both of them about their wedding vows and the importance of staying together for the kids. But Rasheeda respectfully pushed back, saying, "With all due respect, Mama, I have respected those vows more than he ever did, and I cannot keep sacrificing my happiness for a promise that he breaks every season." The mother's intervention led to heated exchanges about generational differences in handling marriage problems, with the older generation urging patience and the younger cast members cheering Rasheeda on for choosing herself. The drama reached new heights when producers revealed they had obtained text messages between Kirk and Tiana that detailed not just the affair but plans to launch a rival clothing line using stolen designs from the Frost empire. This business betrayal cut deeper than anything else because it threatened everything Rasheeda had worked so hard to create. Independently, she confronted Kirk with the evidence right there at the brunch table, saying, "You were going to use our success to build something with her behind my back. That is the ultimate disrespect, and I will not let you take one more thing from me." The cast watched in stunned silence as Kirk tried to explain it away as a misunderstanding, but the proof was undeniable, and the financial implications could mean lawsuits and public audits that would drag their names through the mud for months to come. Friends of the couple later told cameras that this particular revelation was the one that truly ended any hope of quick reconciliation, because it showed a level of calculated deceit that went beyond simple cheating into full-blown sabotage. The personal stakes for Rasheeda now included protecting her legacy as a businesswoman and ensuring her children inherited something stable rather than a crumbling empire built on lies. As the brunch continued into the afternoon, more revelations surfaced about other women who had come forward privately with similar stories from years past, making it clear that the pattern was not new but had been ongoing since the early days of their reality television fame. Rasheeda stood up once again, delivering a powerful monologue about breaking cycles and showing her daughters what real strength looks like, her voice steady despite the tears, saying, "I refuse to let this define me or my family anymore. I am standing up not out of anger but out of love for the woman I am becoming without him." The room erupted in applause and hugs as even some of the skeptics in the cast began to see her point of view. The energy shifted dramatically when Kirk received yet another mysterious text during the gathering, this one from a lawyer representing Tiana demanding child support and a paternity test, which sent him into a panic and RASHEEDA into a fresh wave of resolve. She told him coldly, "Handle your responsibilities, Kirk, but do not expect me to be part of the cleanup crew anymore. I have my own future to build." The family was left even more divided as whispers spread about potential custody battles and asset divisions that could play out not just on the show but in real courtrooms. The drama had layers upon layers now, involving legal teams, public relations experts, and even celebrity friends weighing in on social media, with some siding with Kirk out of loyalty to their shared history and others championing RASHEEDA as a symbol of empowerment for women everywhere. The episode captured all of this unfolding chaos, leaving viewers at home on the edge of their seats, wondering if there was any path back from such a catastrophic series of betrayals. The night ended with RASHEEDA driving away from the location alone for the first time in years, her car filled with the sound of her favorite empowerment anthems. As she reflected on the long road ahead, the twists kept coming in the days that followed, with leaked videos of Kirk trying to meet with Tiana secretly being released online, which only fueled the fire and brought more cast members into the fray for emergency group chats and interventions. The emotional toll on everyone involved was immense, with RASHEEDA experiencing moments of doubt in private confessional where she admitted still loving the father of her children but knowing she could not go back to the old patterns. The reactions from fans were overwhelming as petition-style comments flooded the show's official pages demanding a RASHEEDA spin-off and praising her for showing what true self-love looks like in the face of repeated heartbreak. Insiders close to the production hinted that this season would mark a permanent shift in the dynamic between the couple, with RASHEEDA emerging as the breakout star ready to rewrite her narrative on her own terms. The suspense for what would happen next was palpable because while the dinner and brunch had been explosive, the upcoming solo scenes promised even deeper dives into the healing process, the business fallout, and the potential for one last dramatic confrontation that could decide the fate of their marriage once and for all. The story continued to unfold like a true reality television masterpiece, blending raw emotion, unexpected alliances, and the kind of high-stakes drama that keeps audiences coming back for more week after week. As RASHEEDA began to surround herself with positive influences and focus on her own projects, the contrast with Kirk's continued struggles became even more apparent, making her journey of standing up feel not just necessary but truly inspiring. The entire Love and Hip Hop Atlanta universe was buzzing with anticipation for the next chapter, knowing that after this level of public exposure nothing would ever be the same for the Frosts or the show itself. The drama, the tears, and the ultimate empowerment had everyone invested like never before, and the best or worst was yet to come depending on whose side you were on in this epic battle of hearts and empires. Yet the dust had barely settled from that explosive brunch when the real fireworks ignited once again as RASHEEDA received a certified letter from Tiana's lawyers demanding a meeting to discuss child support and visitation rights for the unborn baby, which left her staring at the paper in disbelief while sitting in her Atlanta mansion surrounded by the very photos of her family that now felt like painful reminders of a broken dream. The personal stakes for RASHEEDA had never felt heavier because this wasn't just another affair, it was a living, breathing consequence that would forever link Kirk to another woman and force their children to share their father in the most public and awkward way possible. She called an emergency meeting with her closest cast sisters Mimi Faust and Erica Mena, who rushed over with wine and tissues ready to plot the next move. Mimi Faust hugged her tight, saying, "Girl, you have been through hell and back, but this pregnancy news is the ultimate slap in the face. You need to protect your peace and your coins before he drags you through the mud even more." Erica Mena nodded furiously while scrolling through leaked social media posts, adding, "And the fans are losing their minds online. Half of them are Team RASHEEDA forever, saying she deserves the world after carrying that man for so long. The other half is still hoping for a miracle reunion." But after this baby bombshell, even the die-hard Kirk supporters are starting to switch sides. The drama escalated further when Kirk showed up unannounced at the mansion later that evening with a massive bouquet of roses and a handwritten letter apologizing for every mistake he had ever made. But RASHEEDA met him at the door with her arms crossed and fire in her eyes, saying, "Save your flowers, Kirk, and save your words too, because none of them fix the fact that you created a whole new family while I was holding ours together through every scandal and every camera flash." He tried to push past her, pleading, "Baby, please just hear me out. I swear on our kids that I will fix this and cut all ties with Tiana." But RASHEEDA slammed the door in his face, yelling, "You had years to cut ties and you chose not to. Now I am choosing me and my sanity." The rejection hit Kirk hard, and he was later caught on camera outside the house breaking down in tears, telling the producers, "I never thought it would get this far. I love her more than anything, but my mistakes keep piling up and now I might lose everything." The cast was left divided once again, with some like Sapphire texting RASHEEDA nonstop saying, "Do not let him back and you have come too far to go back to the same cycle," while others like Carly Red tried calling Kirk to offer advice on damage control. The family drama reached a boiling point the very next day when their children finally confronted both parents during a filmed family sit-down that producers insisted on for the episode. The kids expressed their confusion and heard asking why daddy was always in the news for the wrong reasons and why mommy was crying so much lately. Rasheeda held back tears as she explained in the gentlest way possible that sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt the people they love, but she would always put them first no matter what. KIRK, on the other hand, tried to sugarcoat the situation, saying daddy is working on being better and we are going to be a family again. But the oldest child shook their head, saying we see the posts online dad, we know about the baby and it makes us sad. The raw honesty from the children broke the internet when the preview dropped, with fans flooding comments saying protect those babies at all costs and Rasheeda is the real MVP for shielding them through all this mess. The emotional conflict for Rasheeda deepened in her private confessional later that night, where she sat alone in a dimly lit room pouring out her soul. I have built this life with him from the ground up, the clothing line, the tours, the brand deals, everything, and now it feels like it is all crumbling because of one mistake after another, but I refuse to let my kids grow up thinking this is what love looks like. I want them to see their mother strong, independent and finally free. The stakes skyrocketed when business partners started pulling out of deals with the Frost empire, citing the bad publicity from the scandal. One major retailer even sent a termination notice which threatened millions in revenue and forced Rasheeda to call an emergency board meeting. Without KIRK there, she stood at the head of the table looking more empowered than ever, saying from now on any decisions about our companies go through me first, because I will not let his personal chaos destroy what I worked so hard to create. The room was tense, but several executives nodded in agreement, praising her for taking control. Meanwhile, KIRK was spiraling in his own confessional, admitting I took her for granted for too long and now I am paying the price with my family, my business and my reputation on the line. The twists kept coming when Tiana surprisingly agreed to a sit-down with Rasheeda on camera in what producers called the most anticipated moment of the season. The two women met at a neutral upscale restaurant with cameras rolling as Tiana walked in visibly pregnant and nervous, saying I did not come here to fight, I just want what is best for my child and I thought KIRK was done with your marriage. Rasheeda kept her composure, but her voice trembled with emotion when she replied, you thought wrong and now we are both paying for his lies, but I am not here to hate you, I am here to set boundaries because my family comes first and that includes making sure our kids do not suffer because of adult choices. The conversation was civil at first but quickly heated up when Tiana revealed text messages from KIRK promising her the world and even discussing moving her into one of their investment properties. Rasheeda slammed her hand on the table, saying this is exactly what I mean, he was planning a whole double life while I was defending him on national television. The cast members watching from a separate room via live feed were in total shock, with Jocelyn whispering damn, this is deeper than we thought, and Mimi Faust adding Rasheeda is handling this with more grace than I ever could. The meeting ended with both women agreeing to co-parent peacefully if it came to that, but Rasheeda made it crystal clear that she was done sharing her husband in any romantic way. The fallout from that sit-down sent social media into overdrive, with hashtags like Team Rasheeda and Expose KIRK trending worldwide. Fans posted video reactions crying and cheering her on. One viral tweet read, after 13 seasons Rasheeda finally said enough and we are here for every second of her glow up. The drama did not stop there, because just when it seemed like things could not get any messier, KIRK was caught on a hidden camera trying to meet Tiana secretly at a hotel to discuss the pregnancy, only for security footage to leak online within hours. The video showed him hugging her and whispering promises, which broke Rasheeda all over again when she saw it during a group cast dinner. She stood up in the middle of the meal saying, I have seen enough, I am filing for legal separation tomorrow and I want the world to know it is not out of spite but out of self-respect. The announcement sent the table into chaos, with Erica Mena jumping up to hug her saying yes queen, take your power back, while Carly Red tried to calm everyone down saying maybe sleep on it, but Rasheeda was resolute, declaring I have slept on too many things for too many years and look where it got me. The family was left even more divided as KIRK's mother called Rasheeda privately begging her to reconsider for the sake of the grandchildren, but Rasheeda respectfully told her I love you like family but I cannot keep hurting myself to keep everyone else happy. The legal team swung into action immediately, with Rasheeda meeting with high-powered attorneys to discuss asset division and custody arrangements. In a tense conference room scene, she reviewed documents outlining everything from the clothing line profits to the house deeds, saying I built half of this empire with my blood, sweat and tears and I will not let it slip away because of his mistakes. KIRK meanwhile was panic calling his own lawyers trying to stop the process, but insiders said it was too late. The paperwork was moving forward fast. The episode captured the raw vulnerability of it all, including a late-night scene where Rasheeda broke down alone in her car after leaving the lawyer's office, questioning if she was making the right choice for her kids or if she was being too harsh. The confessional that followed was pure gold as she wiped her tears and said love is not supposed to feel like a battlefield and I am tired of fighting for someone who keeps choosing everyone else over me. The cast rallied around her like never before, organizing a girls' night that turned into an empowerment session, with everyone sharing their own stories of betrayal and comeback. Mimi Faust raised a glass saying to Rasheeda for showing us all what standing up looks like, and the group cheered loudly. The night ended with laughter and tears as they danced to her favorite songs, reminding her that life after KIRK could be even better. The suspense built to a crescendo when KIRK planned one last grand gesture, a public video apology posted on his social media where he cried on camera saying, Rasheeda, I know I do not deserve you but I am begging for one final chance to prove I can can change. The video went mega viral, but Rasheeda responded with her own post, a simple black and white photo of herself with the caption "Standing Up Starts Today," and the internet exploded with support. The reactions from the broader Love and Hip Hop family were electric, with stars from other cities commenting their encouragement and even some of KIRK's former friends distancing themselves to avoid the backlash. The business side of the drama heated up too when a rival brand tried to poach Rasheeda for a solo line, offering her millions to leave the Frost name behind. She considered it seriously in a meeting with her manager, saying, "This could be my fresh start away from all the pain," but she ultimately decided to fight for what she had built instead, telling the cast, "I will not run, I will rebuild on my own terms." The personal growth Rasheeda showed throughout these episodes was inspiring to millions, with fans sharing transformation stories and crediting her for giving them courage to leave toxic situations. The family drama took another turn when extended relatives got involved, some siding with KIRK and urging forgiveness, while others backed Rasheeda fully, creating awkward group texts and even a heated family Zoom call that producers filmed for extra footage. The call ended in tears and raised voices, with Rasheeda saying, "I appreciate the love, but this is my decision in my life to live." The emotional rollercoaster continued as Rasheeda began therapy sessions on camera, exploring her patterns of loyalty and self-sacrifice. The therapist encouraged her to set boundaries, and she practiced them immediately by blocking KIRK on everything except co-parenting apps. The move shocked him but also forced him to reflect deeper. In his own sessions, where he admitted his fear of losing her was finally making him see the error of his ways, yet the trust was shattered beyond repair, at least for now. The episode wove in flashbacks to happier times from earlier seasons, contrasting them with the current chaos to show just how far the couple had fallen and how much Rasheeda had endured. The cast became even more invested with group interventions and side conversations about loyalty versus self-love. Jocelyn pulled Rasheeda aside during one scene, saying, "I have been where you were, and walking away was the best thing I ever did for me." The support network around her grew stronger every day, helping her navigate the legal minefield and the public scrutiny. The drama reached yet another peak when Tiana posted her own ultrasound video, tagging KIRK and sparking a new wave of online arguments. Rasheeda chose not to respond publicly, instead focusing on a solo photo shoot for her clothing line that symbolized her independence. The images went viral, with captions praising her glow and resilience. As the season finale loomed, producers teased one last confrontation between Rasheeda and KIRK that would decide the future of their on-screen partnership. The anticipation was through the roof, with fans placing bets on whether she would take him back or walk away for good. The stakes remained sky high, with their shared empire, their children, and their legacies all hanging in the balance. But through every tear, every argument, and every shocking revelation, Rasheeda emerged stronger, more vocal, and ready to write the next chapter of her life on her own terms. The Love and Hip Hop Atlanta universe had never seen a glow-up quite like this, and the entire cast and fanbase were glued to their screens, waiting to see how this epic saga would unfold. In the final moments of Season 13, the emotions, the betrayals, and the ultimate act of self-love had everyone talking, and the best was truly yet to come as Rasheeda stood tall in the face of it all, ready to show the world what happens when a queen finally reclaims her throne. As the legal separation papers were quietly being prepared behind the scenes, the tension inside the Frost empire reached levels nobody could have imagined. What started as another cheating scandal had now transformed into a full-scale collapse of trust, business, family, and legacy. And for the first time in years, Rasheeda was no longer trying to save the marriage, she was trying to save herself. The very next morning after that explosive brunch confrontation, cameras followed Rasheeda as she walked alone through the doors of Frost Bistro before sunrise. Normally the restaurant buzzed with music and energy, but this time the silence felt haunting. She stood there staring at the framed photos lining the walls, pictures of her and KIRK smiling through happier times, grand openings, anniversary parties, family vacations, all moments that suddenly felt fake under the weight of everything she had learned. Her eyes filled with tears again as she whispered to herself, "How did we go from building dreams together to destroying each other in public?" Meanwhile, KIRK was spiraling in a completely different way. Producers caught him sitting in his car outside a downtown Atlanta hotel for nearly an hour, staring blankly at his phone while unanswered texts from Rasheeda stacked up on the screen. Friends close to him later admitted he had been drinking heavily and barely sleeping since Tiana's pregnancy reveal. He kept telling everyone the same thing, "I never thought she'd really leave me," but deep down, even he knew this time felt different. Back at the mansion, Rasheeda met privately with her attorneys and financial advisors, and the conversation quickly turned ugly. They informed her that several of their shared business accounts showed suspicious withdrawals over the past year, money allegedly tied to secret apartment rentals, luxury gifts, and private trips involving multiple women. The betrayal was no longer just emotional. It was financial sabotage. One lawyer slid a folder across the table and said carefully, "Rasheeda, if these numbers are accurate, KIRK may have jeopardized millions in joint assets." Her face went completely blank. For years she had defended him against accusations of cheating, lying, and disrespect. But hearing that the empire she sacrificed everything to build was now under threat because of his reckless decisions hit her harder than any rumor ever could. She slammed the folder shut and muttered, "So while I was protecting our future, he was financing his double life." The emotional fallout intensified later that night during a cast gathering hosted by Mimi Faust. What was supposed to be a relaxing girls' evening immediately turned into another heated discussion about loyalty, betrayal, and whether love can survive repeated humiliation. Erica Mena didn't hold back at all. "Girl, this man embarrassed you on television for years," she snapped. "And every time you forgave him, he took it as permission to keep doing it." Rasheeda sat quietly for a moment before finally admitting something she had never said out loud before. "I think I stopped loving myself trying to love him." The room went silent. Even the producers later admitted that line gave them chills because it perfectly captured everything viewers had watched unfold over the last decade. The women surrounded her instantly with hugs and tears as she continued opening up about the anxiety attacks, sleepless nights, and emotional exhaustion she had hidden behind glamorous Instagram photos and polished interviews. "I kept telling myself staying strong meant staying loyal," she whispered. "But maybe real strength is finally walking away." Fans online exploded after the teaser clip leaked. Social media timelines flooded with messages supporting Rasheeda. Women from around the world shared their own stories of staying too long in toxic relationships because of children, finances, or fear of starting over. The hashtag #ChooseYourselfRasheeda began trending nationwide within hours. But while Rasheeda was finding support, KIRK's world was collapsing faster by the minute. A shocking new twist emerged when bloggers uncovered photos of KIRK allegedly vacationing with Tiana months earlier while Rasheeda was away filming promotional content for their businesses. The pictures showed them holding hands on a beach in Miami, looking very much like a couple. The internet erupted instantly. KIRK tried desperately to do damage control, posting a video claiming the photos were misleading, but nobody believed him anymore. Even longtime fans who had defended him during previous scandals started turning against him. One viral comment read, "At some point this stops being mistakes and starts being character." The pressure became unbearable. During a tense solo confessional, KIRK finally broke down completely. Tears rolled down his face as he admitted, "I got addicted to thinking Rasheeda would never leave. No matter what I did, she always fought for us. And now I realize I destroyed the one person who loved me the most." But the sympathy online remained limited because viewers had heard versions of this apology before. The real emotional gut punch came days later when Rasheeda's oldest son asked her a heartbreaking question during a quiet family dinner. "Mom, are we still a family?" The pain on her face was almost impossible to watch. She pulled him close and said softly, "We will always be a family." But families sometimes change shape when people hurt each other. That moment instantly became one of the most talked about scenes of the season because it stripped away the glamour and exposed the real human cost behind the scandal, the children caught in the middle of adults making destructive choices. And just when everyone thought things could not possibly get messier, another bombshell dropped. A former employee from Frost Bistro came forward claiming KIRK had been secretly meeting women at the restaurant after hours for years while Rasheeda believed he was handling business meetings. Security footage allegedly backed up parts of the story, sending the cast into another frenzy of gossip and outrage. Rasheeda looked emotionally drained when producers confronted her with the allegations. At this point, she sighed, "I don't even know what's real anymore." The stress began taking a visible toll on her physically. Friends noticed she was barely eating, constantly exhausted, and emotionally detached. Mimi finally convinced her to attend therapy on camera, and those sessions became some of the most powerful moments of the entire season. In one emotional breakthrough, the therapist asked her why she tolerated so much pain for so long. Rasheeda stared down at her hands for several seconds before answering quietly, "Because I believed saving my marriage meant saving myself." Then came the realization that changed everything. "But I lost myself anyway." Viewers were deeply moved watching her slowly reclaim her confidence and identity outside of being KIRK Frost's wife. She started focusing heavily on her own businesses, planning solo ventures, and surrounding herself with people who genuinely uplifted her instead of draining her emotionally. The transformation was impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, KIRK became increasingly isolated. Friends stopped answering his calls. Business partners distanced themselves publicly. Even some family members privately admitted they were disappointed in how recklessly he handled everything. Producers captured him alone at Frost Bistro one evening, staring at empty tables while soft music played in the background. "This place used to feel like home," he whispered sadly. "Now it just reminds me of everything I ruined." But the biggest twist of all arrived during the season's final group event. The entire cast gathered for what was supposed to be a peaceful charity gala, hoping tensions had finally cooled down. Rasheeda arrived looking absolutely stunning in a sleek silver gown, radiating a confidence viewers had not seen from her in years. The entire room noticed immediately. And KIRK noticed most of all. For a moment, he just stared at her silently, almost realizing too late what he had lost. But before anyone could settle in, Tiana unexpectedly walked into the event visibly pregnant, instantly throwing the room into chaos again. Gasps echoed across the ballroom as cameras whipped toward Rasheeda's face. Everyone expected her to explode. Instead, she calmly stood up, adjusted her dress, and looked directly at Kirk. "This," she said firmly, "is your responsibility now, not mine." The maturity in that moment stunned the entire cast. No screaming, no crying, no begging, just peace. And somehow that hurt Kirk more than any argument ever could. He followed her outside, desperately trying to talk, but Rasheeda stopped him cold before he could even begin another apology. "You spent years asking me to fight for us," she said. "But you never fought for me." Kirk stood there speechless as tears filled his eyes. Then she delivered the line that instantly went viral across every social media platform: "I'm not walking away because I stopped loving you. I'm walking away because I finally started loving myself more." And with that, she got into her car and drove away while Kirk remained standing alone under the Atlanta night sky, watching the woman who had carried him through every scandal finally choose herself at last. Fans immediately declared it one of the greatest reality television moments ever filmed. After years of betrayal, heartbreak, public humiliation, and endless second chances, Rasheeda finally chose herself, and the entire world watched a queen reclaim her power in real time. But the biggest question still remains: if you were in her shoes, would you have stayed and kept fighting for love, or walked away the moment the trust was broken? Drop your thoughts below because this story has divided fans everywhere. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more explosive love and hip-hop drama, shocking betrayals, and emotional moments that prove reality TV can hit harder than real life itself.